What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Tailgate Sports Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Tanner Johnson. With me, as always, is Ricky Scott. What's up, Ricky?
What's up, Tanner? How you doing?
We're doing good. Doing good. It's been fun. A lot of work trying to get this up and going and get these high schools the recognition that they deserve. So today we have a very exciting guest. It is the head coach of Desert Edge High School, Coach Henri MacArthur, and we want to give him an opportunity to introduce himself.
Yeah, no, I'm appreciative you guys having me on. Looking forward to it.
Coach, I just want to apologize for Tanner wearing this Tennessee Titans hat. I know it's a very bad look, but we'll push through.
It's all right. You got to rep your team.
Yeah. I live in sadness, eternal sadness.
Me too, secretly.
Yeah, at least I'm not a Raiders fan.
Oh.
All right. So, Coach, just basic first question that I love to ask everyone is, what made you want to get into coaching?
Well, really, I got to give credit to my guy, Steve Ortiz, who still helps out in our staff a little bit. But he was one of the first people I met when I moved out to Arizona. And we connected, and he was like, man, you got to coach. So he's the one that put me on coaching in the first place and who kind of helped get my foot in the door at Desert Edge with Coach Wellbrock. So I never really thought about it until I was in it, and then once I was in it and coaching, I fell in love with it. So
Sounds good. I mean, it's awesome to have basically someone helping you along, getting you into this.
yeah, for sure.
And you said you've been at Desert Edge for about 10 years. The last two as defensive coordinator, or as head coach, sorry. Last
Yep.
two as head coach.
Last one was my first one as head coach this past season.
Okay. So then, what has kind of made you stay at Desert Edge for that long?
You know what? Desert Edge is a really unique place and unique program. I happen to live in the community, so that makes it more personal for me. This is the only community I've lived in Arizona, is here in Goodyear, south of the 10, right by Desert Edge. So for me, it's home, and I've been there for a long time. So when you feel like you've been somewhere and your fingerprints are kind of all over the program and the foundation of the program, and it's hard to leave something when you've been involved for so long and you identify as part of the program. So I've always been all about Desert Edge.
That's good. Ricky, you got a question?
Yeah, Coach, if you don't mind me asking, where are you originally from?
I'm originally from New York City.
Nice. Do you bring a little bit of that New York City swag over to Arizona?
I like to think so, for sure. But,
I like it.
It's been a while now. I've been out here about 12 years now, so it's been a good minute. So I might have lost some of my New York flair.
It's still there. So how was that transition from assistant coach to head coach?
You know what? It was easier than I anticipated, just because of all the different programs that I've been a part of. So I've only been a part of, obviously, Desert Edge, but I was under Coach Wellbrock first, then Coach Lucero, then Coach Mark and Marcus Carter. So all three of those experiences really helped me learn from each one of those regimes as far as different head coaching philosophies and organizational philosophies and stuff like that. The coaches that groomed me definitely gave me a lot of leeway and freedom to learn and grow within the program, so that helped prepare me.
That's awesome. One thing I also love hearing about it, like you've been there for 10 years and the loyalty to that school, I think that's amazing.
Yeah, no, if I'm coaching football in the state of Arizona, which is my plan for a long, long time, it will be at Desert Edge so long as they'll have me. There's
That's
nowhere
awesome.
else I'd rather be.
I love that.
That's great to hear. I mean, you definitely don't really ever see that anymore.
No.
You see coaches that are just committed to where they're at.
Yeah, I understand some people are looking for different opportunities and growth opportunities, and but for me, my personality is probably a little different. So this is where I want to be. I want to help grow it and help do whatever I can to continue to build what was already built before I took over, with obviously the great coaches that came before me and helped to build and shape what Desert Edge is.
Definitely love that you shout out the people that you learned from. That's
No
awesome.
doubt.
Yeah.
What are some things you use to motivate your players when you when you feel like the energy is a little bit down? Is there anything that is like a go to or?
Um, I think our guys are pretty motivated. That doesn't really It's not really a problem that I run into. I think our guys are motivated, and we've created a culture of competition. I think competition, I guess, would be the answer. Guys are competing at all times, competing for spots, competing to be seen by colleges, competing as a whole to win games and win championships. So I think our guys are pretty motivated, but just letting them know that I'm here to support them and their individual goals as well as the collective goal of the team. But none of that can happen without hard work. So we demand a lot of our guys, and our guys put in a lot of work, a lot of extra work in the off season, extra work in the summer, extra work during the season. Um, so motivation and work ethic normally is not an issue for us because we've kind of built it that way.
Yeah, there's nothing better than when a player accepts that challenge and is ready to go all in.
Absolutely.
Obviously, you were the defensive backs coach up
Mm,
until you became head coach.
right.
You had Jamar Beal Goings attending Texas A&M, like just barely started, just barely enrolled. You have the number one, arguably, I think he's the best recruit in the state, Cameron Hamulin?
Cameron Hamill.
Hamill. Cameron
Mhm.
Hamill. I think he's the best recruit in the state. Um, and so you've specialized in defensive backs, and pretty much your entire tenure there, you've been shelling out Division I, Power Four defensive backs. So like they all kind of vary in skill set. Is there a specific kind of defensive back that you're kind of trying to mold these boys into?
Every guy has a little bit of a different skill set, as you mentioned, like guys like Cam and Jamar, both super talented, but they're different players. Then the year before that, we had Andre Gibson and Jonathan Kamara, who both went on to University of Kansas, that both played DB for us. We've had Stephen Ortiz Jr., who's now at UMass. Then we have Michael Davis in our 27 class, who's a Division I DB. We have Antonio Parra, who's a senior who just picked up his first offer. He's a safety. So I try not to put guys in a box. It's more so identifying the skill set of that individual guy and figuring out how we can maximize where he fits in his development. So every guy's a little different. I got to shout out another person that really mentored me, which is Coach Dwayne Walker, who coached in the NFL for 15 or 20 years, coached Division I football 10 or 15 years. He's a senior defensive analyst now with ASU. He lives here in the Valley, but he really took me under his wing and mentored me starting a little bit before COVID, and really helped me hone in my skill set and develop my skill set in terms of coaching these DBs and coaching different guys, corners, nickels, safeties, big guys, smaller guys, fast guys, physical guys. So, um, again, learned a lot from him and try to put my own spin on it because he already always told me, you got to be yourself. So, taking a lot of what he taught me, putting my own spin on it. But, we take DB play really, really seriously at Desert Edge, and that's one thing I always tell the DB group. And it's nothing against the other groups on the team, but like if nothing else, when we roll out and when Desert Edge steps foot on the field, we're gonna have good defensive back play. Period. So if you're not up for that challenge, you can't be on the field in the secondary for us. Every guy that takes the field in the secondary for us has to really, really bring it.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, even just looking at Michael Davis's offers currently. I mean, he's
Mm,
got Miami, he's got Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Oregon. Like he's got amazing programs, and each of
yep.
these guys obviously did have amazing programs and offers. So it just shows that how skilled you are as a coach into helping these I guess men now develop into what their full potential is. So I just
Yeah.
want to give you your your props for that.
Well, I appreciate it. It's definitely something that I take pride in and being able to help these guys. But these guys have something God given with their talent and their ability, as well as what's up here and what's in their heart. That's what it takes to be a top level guy. So anything I do is just kind of tweaking a little bit, but those guys have tremendous talent, and I'm super proud of all the guys you mentioned. And we challenge those guys in a good way. You know what I mean? Jamar was the number one DB in the state, number one recruit in the state. Cam is the number one DB in the state, number one recruit in the state. So now we're trying to three-peat and get Michael uh, to be that guy in the class of 2027. And then we also have some DBs in the class of 2028 that already hold some offers. We have two guys in 2028 that already have some offers as well.
That's something that's extra special about specifically you guys, the program that's been laid before you and that you're continuing. And like it's extra special to see like your specific position group continuing to shell these guys out and just getting these guys the recognition that they deserve. I think that that's definitely a large part on you as the coaching staff, talking to these players and talking to coaches that are trying to recruit them.
Yeah, no, it's been great, and I spent the last lot of years with the corners and with the DBs, and then last year in spring ball I lasted about two practices because I told everybody I'm never not coaching the corners. I'm never not coaching the corners. But I quit. That was one of the first lessons I learned as a head coach was that sometimes you have to make tough decisions. And I realized to do what I've done for the corners for years would be a disservice to the rest of the team. And then if I did right by the rest of the team, it'd be a disservice to the corners because I wouldn't be able to lock in with them the way I wanted. So we brought on a Coach Cecil Fleming, who's done a tremendous job. Obviously, I'm still involved with the DBs. That's my you know passion. But Cecil took over coaching the corner specifically and did a tremendous job. So I want to give him a shout out as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And plus, like your continued success will get these players more and more recognition. I mean, you guys just came off of a 5A state title in Arizona, just narrowly missing out on the Open tournament.
Hmm.
And I think, at least with your cornerback play, you guys will be super competitive in the Open tournament. And so I'm looking forward to this next season with you guys to see if you can get into that tournament this year.
Yeah, there's the rumor is that 5A can't be in the Open this year, but I don't know. I don't know anything until everything's official. That's the rumor, but you know, if that's the case and we can't get into Open this year, then our sights will be set on winning the 5A state championship with with all the 5A teams guaranteed to be involved. That should be a really really competitive, great bracket. Um, and then who knows what the future holds? We keep winning, we'll find ourselves in 6A or in that open mix. So we're just going to take things one week at a time and try to handle what's on our plate.
Yes, sir. Uh,
Hey, Coach, I just wanted to know if you could give me a little bit of insight on a little bit of your game day prep and how you keep players a little bit balanced and locked in for a game.
um, you know, okay, so game day for us, I'll just walk you through the day. So in the morning, which is our weights class, we'll do a very kind of low key controlled stretch just to get guys body moving a little bit. Um, then after school, which is the next time we'll see them, they're going to come straight to the cafeteria. And they were mad at me about the menu, but we had the same menu every week. I talked to some guys I know in strength and conditioning in Division 1, and I'm like, hey, what do you feed these guys? And they gave me a list of stuff, but there's only certain things we could make happen financially with our booster club. So of course they said, well, you can do steak and this and that. I said, I don't know about steak. I said, so we did grilled chicken and spaghetti with Pedialyte. That was their meal every single Friday afternoon. Grilled chicken, spaghetti, Pedialyte. By week 6 or 7, they were like, "Coach, man, come on, no more spaghetti." It worked out. Guys played well. We didn't have many cramps or those type of issues. So we'll do that. Then we'll head to the locker room. Guys will get taped up. Um, we'll have meetings And then once we're done with our meetings, the guys are in there with the speaker. They're, playing some music, getting excited. I let guys kind of be themselves and get amped up and get ready for the game. So it's obviously a fun environment for them in the locker room pregame. And I hope that answers the question.
Oh, it was more than you answered more questions. I was gonna ask you if you're a big music guy, and I love that you let them kind of be themselves and hone into their lock in. And some coaches don't; they want silence. They want them to be like
Yeah.
mentally lock in. So
Yeah. I mean, I think it's about the kids, and at the end of the day, it's what makes them feel like they're ready and locked in. So
I like that.
if they want to listen to their music, and all the guys are different. I mentioned Antonio Parra, who just picked up his first offer from University of New Mexico, who's a senior safety for us. Every time I go into the locker room, you got 99% of the guys, they're kind of in the front of the locker room. They're by the speaker. They're going crazy. They're dancing. He's always sitting by his locker in the back corner. He has his headphones in and he's watching football highlights on his phone. So that's his routine. So the same way, I'm not going to tell the other guys to turn the music off and lock in. I'm not going to tell him, "Hey man, go dance." And everyone has their own routine of what makes them ready. So uh, it's not one size fits all, but I say the majority of them definitely like definitely like the music in the locker room.
I like that, and I look forward to him going to the UNM. So I went to high school out there in New Mexico. I joined the Navy out there, and then that's where a lot of my where I become a man at, and
Yeah,
my ties are still to New Mexico. So that's pretty cool to hear.
that's awesome.
Yeah. I definitely respect you. You wanting it's a player centric culture is what it sounds like that you're trying to at least have there while you're there.
Yeah, I think that the guys having fun um, is important. And I think in coaching, you have to kind of pick and choose what you want to squeeze down on the players about. So if you squeeze down on every little thing, and you squeeze down on pregame music, and you squeeze down on what color mouthpiece they wear, and you squeeze down on every single little thing, and you're squeezing down on everything, um, I think it backfires a little bit. I think you gotta give a little, and then there's certain things like within our program, like I talked about earlier. There's no wiggle room on you being unmotivated. There's no wiggle room on you not showing up in the off season and putting in extra work. There's no wiggle room in you not lifting hard in the weight room. There's no wiggle room in you being 1 minute late in the summer to any workouts that we have going on. So there's a lot of things that I'd say, I guess, we're strict about and where we're maybe over the top about. But then there's other things where it's like, hey, you want to wear a green mouthpiece? Wear a green mouthpiece. You know what I mean? You want to listen to your music pregame? Listen to your music pregame. You know, I'm not going to get into that stuff. So it's all about picking and choosing what really, really is important to you as a coach and what's important in your program and where you feel like that affects. You know what I mean? So uh, I try to stay prioritizing the things that I feel like have a real effect on the culture of our team and our ability to win games and our ability to develop these guys into good people.
Yeah, it's you definitely don't want to be what's Bill O'Brien's nickname? Is it's Tea Kettle because he always
Oh,
burns red hot and he just starts spewing out everything as soon as he gets upset. You don't ever want to be that, especially like with high school. So
yeah, that's definitely not my style
I definitely respect you giving the players their individuality and lets them just invest themselves more in it.
for sure.
You got another question, Ricky?
I do, Coach. If you had any advice for a young aspiring coach, what would that advice be?
Hmm. I guess what I just talked about, I think, is important. And carrying on from that is understanding, especially when you're a position coach and you're dealing with a group and like those are your guys, understanding that you can't have a blanket relationship with all of them. You have to have individual bonds and relationships with each one because each kid needs to be coached a little bit different. Some guys respond well to this, some guys don't. So you have to understand when you're dealing with guys, just to reference guys before, I'm not going to coach Jamar the exact same way I coach Cam or the exact same way I coach Michael. All three of those guys are great players, but there's certain things that make each one of them tick, and you have to figure that out as a coach. So I'd say that's really important. And then it probably sounds simple, but you have to work. You have to work. You got to, the way I was able to come up at Desert Edge was being the first guy in and the last guy out. I think all the coaches that I've worked under really respected that. So if you want to grow and climb and be valued as a coach, it comes with putting the work in. So if you get your foot in the door as a freshman coach somewhere and that freshman season is over, you should be at every varsity practice saying, "Hey, where can I help? Freshman season's over. We're making a playoff run. Can I fill the waters? Okay, you got someone to fill the waters? Can I find work, find something to do, um, bring value to the table with your work ethic? Because then people will work with you." And I mentioned learning from all these coaches. I think the thing they saw in me was my willingness to work. So when you're willing to work, people that might be above on the food chain at that time are going to pour into you because they're like, man, this guy's working. Like, he's here early. He wants to be in every meeting. He's coaching freshmen, but he's at all the JV games. He's at the varsity game trying to be helpful. That would be my biggest advice to a young coach that's first getting into it is bring value with your presence and your work ethic and be ready for whatever task. And even if that task at first, like I said, is filling waters or going to grab the footballs or whatever it is, at a certain point, whoever the coach is that's um, ahead of you or you're working under, he's going to be able to count on you because you showed that he can count on you with the water. You showed he can count on you with the footballs. You showed he can count on you with putting on helmet decals correctly. So those tasks might seem like, well, this isn't coaching, man. Well, I'm not. But soon he's going to start trusting you with things that you're like, oh wow, I can't believe he's trusting me with this. I'm brand new, but he's doing it because you've shown that consistency of someone that can handle tasks.
I love that.
That's awesome. I've always been a believer that no matter what, hard work trumps talent. The
For
more
sure.
you work, you can eventually overtake someone who's just more talented.
For sure, especially in coaching. You know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
it doesn't matter how tall we are or how fast we can run or how high we can jump. A lot of it is about putting into work. And some guys come into coaching maybe with a stronger knowledge of X's and O's and schemes. But if that person that came in with a stronger knowledge stops being hungry and stops working, a guy that might not know as much is going to catch up if he really hustles and goes to work on learning.
Yeah,
Very
definitely.
good.
So, we don't want to take up too much more of your time, Coach. And so we just want to thank you and just say, like, we're really impressed with the job that you've done at Desert Edge. This is specifically one that I wanted to reach out to. Um, I've kind of followed the school for a while and saw that you had taken it over, and I'm just really impressed with the job that you did and just your coaching ability. So we just want to thank you for that and the time you put in for these athletes. Again, it's not something that you're being forced to do, but you're choosing to be there for them. So we just want to say we thank you, and we hope that the school and the community around Desert Edge can see that, or at least hear it.
No doubt. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys having me on. Anytime you want me back, I'll be there. I'll be there.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get
Okay,
you back on here for sure.
for
You bring
sure.
that different edge over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to remind everyone, thank you for listening to the Tailgate Sports Podcast. We're going to keep our eyes on Desert Edge High School this season and definitely follow Coach Henry throughout the year. Please show support to them as they go through this season to hopefully at least make and defend their title, the 5A state champions, and hopefully be able to get into the open tournament. But we want to thank everyone for also supporting us so that we can continue to support these schools and these athletes. Ricky, you got anything else?
Just looking forward to like you said, attending practices. Hopefully, catching a few games and watch you guys make some noise. So,
Pull up. Yeah. Pull up to some games, pull up to some practices. We'd love to have you.
well, you're in Goodyear. You're right down the street from me, so I'll be there.
Ricky will be there. For sure. All right. Thank you, Coach. We'll see everyone next time.
Thank you.